Hello everyone, welcome to the Ramen Otaku show. I can't believe that this is a real thing.
Neto. I live in the year 2000X in a place called Dentech City. It's a sweet place to live. The whole city is linked to one giant computer system. Almost everyone who lives here uses a personal net navigator to surf the system for them. A net navi isn't a real person, it's a computer program that lives in the cyber world. They're all different. My net navi Rockman looks like a boy, kind of like me. My friend Decal's net navi Gutsman looks like a big tough robot. Net navis are connected to the system through small computers called personal terminals, pets. They're great for doing stuff like making appointments and scoring movie tickets. But the best thing to do with net navis is to net battle. My friends and I net battle all the time. We download battle chips to give our net navis different abilities to fight with. Net battles are a lot of fun, but there's a serious problem in Dentech City. A group of bad guys called World 3 is trying to take over the city. World 3 is infecting the system with dangerous computer viruses, but World 3 didn't count on me and Rockman getting in its way. With the help of our friends, we'll do whatever it takes to keep Dentech City safe. Chapter 1. Decal wins again. Neto Hikari stared across the battlefield at his friend Decal. A crowd of kids had gathered around to watch the two boys net battle. An image of their two net navis projected onto a round dome between Neto and Decal. Decal's net navi Gutsman looked like a huge hunk of metal with massive arms ending in powerful fists. Two piercing eyes stared out of his robotic-like face. He definitely looked like a tough opponent. Neto was battling with a generic net navi. Compared to Gutsman, he didn't look tough at all. The generic navi looked like a short, slim boy wearing a bland gray uniform. Neto and Decal looked as different as their navis. Neto was a thin boy with shaggy brown hair and a blue headband around his head. Decal, on the other hand, was tall and wide. His hair was shaved into a mohawk. He looked just as tough as his net navi. Gutsman started the battle by stomping his feet. The cyber floor shook from the impact. Neto's navi jumped up and flipped and flew towards Gutsman. The big navi brushed off the smaller one like he was some kind of fly. It looked hopeless for Neto, but he was not about to give up. He inserted a battle chip into his pet. Battle chip! Shotgun! Slot in! The battle chip transformed the right arm of Neto's net navi into a barrel-like weapon. Laser beam shot from the arm. But Gutsman blocked the blast. Neto downloaded another battle chip. Battle chip! Sword! Slot in! This time the navi's right arm transformed into a glowing sword. He jumped up and tried to strike Gutsman with it. Wham! Gutsman's thick fist slammed down on the sword, shattering it. Neto's navi flew backwards, landing on the cyber floor with a thud. His right arm was completely gone.
Finish him off, Gutsman!
Neto frantically programmed his pet. Bit by bit, the arm slowly came back together, but it was too little too late. Run away!
You're finished!
He stomped the floor again. A powerful shockwave shook the floor like an earthquake. Neto's net navi's body trembled. Then it disappeared from the battle dome. His net navi had logged out of the system. The cow shook his fists in the air. The kids watched the battle, cheered and clapped. Did they? The cow slapped Neto on the back. Did they?
It's 100 years too early before you can even think of beating my Gutsman!
Neto sighed. At this rate, he would never win a battle, not against Decal or anybody else. Chapter 2. Download complete. Neto headed home with his friend Mayo. The pretty pink-haired girl wheeled down the busy street on a scooter. Neto sat beside her on his inline skates. Damn that Decal. At least I didn't lose to him in the operation.
Even so, you still played well up until today, Neto.
Mel's pet began to beep. She unhooked it from her belt and pressed a button. A net navi with green eyes and long blonde hair wearing a pink uniform appeared on the screen.
Mel-chan, it's time for your piano lesson. Thank you, Roll.
Neto suddenly felt jealous. All of his friends had custom-made net navis. Neto's dad had promised to program one for him when Neto started 5th grade. Well, he was in 5th grade, but he still didn't have a customized net navi. His dad was too busy traveling around for his job to keep his promise.
See ya, Neto.
She started off home. Decal suddenly came barreling down the street, huffing and puffing on his scooter.
Where are you going? Come on, Mail-chan, wait for me! Let me walk you home!
Mail just laughed and kept going. Decal swept past Neto, trying to keep up to her. Neto was feeling too depressed to go home just yet. He stopped at the park and sat down on top of some stone steps. He was lost in thought. thinking about the battle when something suddenly landed in his lap. It was a fish! A tall man with a delivery bicycle stood at the bottom of the steps. He wore an apron with a drawing of a fish on it. The man grinned at Neto.
What's the matter? Why are you looking so depressed?
Neto frowned. Masa, the neighborhood fish seller, was a nice guy, but Neto wasn't in the mood for his fishy fun today.
So I gathered you lost in a fight then. Did the cow beat you up again?
It wasn't a fight, it was a net battle.
Net bath? Is that where you sit around in a sauna and see how long you last?
Before Neto could correct him, the sound of sirens filled the air. 4 fire trucks zoomed down the street.
Could it be another series of fires?
The ones where the ovens have been spontaneously igniting?
I don't have the time for this. Here you go, a source of calcium. See you around.
Neto hated to admit it, but talking to Masa had cheered him up a little. He took the fish home to his mom. She cooked them for dinner, and Neto told her about the fires as they ate. They say it's a computer virus. Is our oven alright?
I had it checked yesterday by a mechanic. He said there's nothing to worry about.
Then she suddenly smiled.
Oh, by the way, there's a letter from Papa addressed to you. It's on top of the counter.
Neto jumped from his seat. A letter? Not email? He grabbed the envelope and opened it up. A computer disk slid out.
What's this? Could it be?
Had Dad remembered his promise after all? After supper, Neto plugged his pet into the computer in his bedroom. He inserted the disk in the computer and typed in his password. A bar appeared on the screen to show that the program was loading. Neto unplugged his pet from the terminal. Installation complete. Alright, he pressed a button on the pet. The screen turned on, then went black. Static lines wavered on the screen. Then Neto's NetNavi appeared.
Memo, diary, and mail upgrades complete. Your personal terminal operating system has been replaced with a new one. Now initializing finalization. Finalization will be completed in 30 minutes.
Neto had been expecting a lot more.
Is that it? That's it.
Neto flopped face down on his bed.
Bummer. I was expecting an original Navi program. Papa, you jerk.
Tired and disappointed, Neto soon fell asleep, but his pet was still working. While Neto dreamed, the generic NetNavi began to transform. Chapter 3. Time to do some virus busting.
Neto-kun. Hey, Neto!
Neto yawned and rubbed his eyes. What was that voice calling his name? He didn't recognize it.
It's me.
Neto looked around. There was nobody in the room.
Over here, inside the pet.
Neto walked to his desk and picked up his pet. The graphics looked totally different than they had the day before. The generic NetNavi was gone. In his place was a boy with big green eyes wearing a bright blue uniform. Who are you? The NetNavi grinned. My name is Rockman. Rockman? Your father programmed me. I'm your original Navi. My original Navi? Neto asked. He wasn't sure what to think. This NetNavi didn't look very strong at all. Rockman laughed.
Pleased to meet you, Neto-kun.
Neto shook his head and frowned.
I see. It was a promise. Once I reached 5th grade, he would make me an original Navi. But it's not what I imagined. I wanted someone bigger and more powerful looking. What a disappointment.
Rockman's expression changed.
Oh.
Then his eyes glowed with an alarm.
Something isn't right, Neto-kun.
Something in Rockman's voice made Neto move. He grabbed the pet and ran into the kitchen. Angry red flames shot out of the oven. Neto's mom was coughing and covering her face. Neto grabbed the fire extinguisher from her arms.
Mama!
Neto, the oven suddenly caught fire!
Neto aimed the fire extinguisher at the oven door and pulled the trigger. White foam shot out and covered the flames. But it didn't stop them. They leaped back up again, stronger this time.
Plug me into the oven. I'll take a look inside its computer. You will? Quickly!
Neto squirted the oven with the fire extinguisher again. The flames died down a second, and Neto used the time to plug in his pet.
Go, Rockman!
Rockman surfaced into the oven's computer system. He didn't have to do any scanning. He could see the problem right away.
What's this?
The system was crawling with viruses. Some of them looked like short, furry beasts with flaming heads. They were Candelas. Others had round bodies, big eyes, and wore hard hats. They were Metors. The Metor viruses attacked the system, while the Candelas set everything on fire.
They're all over the place, but I think I might be able to delete them.
Rockman aimed his right arm at a cluster of viruses.
Pew, pew, pew!
Bright yellow laser beams burst from Rockman's arms and zapped the viruses. Some of the viruses exploded from the blast. The others turned and ran. Another cluster of viruses ran at Rockman, ready to attack.
Pew, pew, pew!
He zapped them all with his Rockbuster. Around him, the flames began to die down. Then, Rockman sensed something behind him. He turned around. A tall figure loomed behind a wall of dying flames. It didn't look like a puny virus. Then the last flame splurted out, and the figure vanished with it.
What was that shadow?
Chapter 4. Roll Flash. Back in the kitchen, Neto and his mom watched as the fire went out. Neto unplugged the pet.
Plug out!
Neto hurried to get ready for school. He strapped on his skates and whizzed down the street. He talked to Rockman along the way.
That was awesome, Rockman!
He had seen the whole battle on his pet screen.
You may be small, but you're strong! I can win. With you at my side, I can defeat Decal's guts, man! Let's work together from now on, Rockman! Yeah!
As they neared the school, they caught up to Decal. He was riding his scooter as usual.
Hey, what do you want, Neto? I thought you would have stayed home after what happened yesterday.
Neto smiled. Once Decal got a taste of Rockman, he would never tease Neto again.
I'll be waiting for you after school. A rematch against your guts, man!
You gotta be kidding me!
It's time for you to stay home in bed. Neto-kun, I thought you weren't allowed to have net battles in school. Don't be so strict, Rockman.
Neto made it to class just in time. Mariko-sensei, his teacher, began talking about computer worms. Normally, Neto would have been pretty interested, but he was so excited about his new net navi that he would have a hard time paying attention in class. He opened his textbook, then propped up his pet so he could use it without Mariko-sensei catching him. Across the room, Decal was doing the same thing. He used his pet to send Gutsman to talk to Roll.
Ah, Gutsman, it's been a while.
Decal wants to date with Mayo. It's okay, right?
Roll shook her head.
No way! Mail-chan has a piano lesson today.
Gutsman frowned.
So, no date then?
No chance.
Gutsman thought for a minute.
Then how about you and I go on a date?
Gutsman grabbed Roll in a big bear hug.
Huh? Just wait a minute!
Gutsman loves Roll. Let's go on a date.
I said no! Roll Flash!
Two powerful laser blasts explode from Roll's helmet. The force sent Gutsman flying back. Decal jumped up from his seat.
Ow!
The kids in class giggled.
Decal-kun, class is still in session. If you're going to ask someone out on a date, then leave it till after school.
But Neto didn't put down his pet. Rockman had been telling him about the strange figure he saw in the flames.
What? A net navi? I couldn't see him that well, but I'm sure he was behind the oven incident.
Neto thought about this.
So that net navi's operator is the arson behind the oven fires.
Rockman nodded.
Most likely.
Neto's mind raced. Whoever was causing those fires was a very dangerous person. His mom could have been really hurt this morning. Somehow, some way, they had to stop the evil net navi before someone got hurt. Chapter 5. Delete him. At the headquarters of World 3, Ino-ken waited to give his report to Dr. Wily. Ino-ken was tall and muscular with fiery red hair. He was normally a hot-headed man, but today he was sweating for another reason. He wasn't looking forward to sharing some news with his boss. Dr. Wily's face appeared on a huge screen on the wall. With his thin face and a monocle, Dr. Wily almost always looked angry. But today, he really did have something to be angry about. Dr. Wily had worked hard to create viruses that would destroy the cyberworld of Dentech City. But something or someone was getting in his way.
Thanks to him, the virus was wiped out.
Dr. Wily scowled.
So it's those net battlers that have been trying to stop our organization.
Those net agents were like a police force in the net. They were almost always a step ahead of World 3.
No, this time it was someone I haven't seen before.
Ino-ken knew this would really get Dr. Wily. Losing to a secret net agent was one thing, but an ordinary net navi, that was the ultimate insult. Fury flashed in Dr. Wily's eyes.
If and when he appears again, make sure you delete him.
Ino-ken smiled and nodded.
Yes, sir.
Chapter 6. Male's in trouble. When school was over, Neto ran to the study hall room. He couldn't wait to battle Decal. The big boy walked in a minute later. Neto and Decal nodded at each other gravely. Then they walked to a computer terminal in the center of the room. Neto plugged his pet into the terminal.
Plug in! Rockman! Transmission!
Decal plugged in his pet.
Plug in! Gutsman! Transmission!
The kids who had come to the study hall to study put down their books. They gathered around Neto and Decal. Gutsman and Rockman appeared on the large screen of the terminal. Decal laughed when he saw Rockman.
Are you serious, Neto? That small blue thing is your new Navi?
That's right, it's Rockman!
Decal shook his head.
You think you can beat my Gutsman with that?
Neto just smiled. He knew Decal had no idea what was about to hit him.
Fine! Crush that guy, Gutsman!
Gutsman pounded his chest.
Gutsman will defeat you!
Let's go!
Gutsman stomped towards Rockman. The blue NetNavi did a backward flip in the air, jumping out of the way. Dekal put a battle chip in his pet.
Battle chip! Mega Guts Punch! Slot in!
As soon as Dekal downloaded the chip, Gutsman's huge right fist began to glow with yellow light.
I've got you now!
He aimed his glowing fist at Rockman's head, but it wasn't. Rockman raised his arm and stopped Gutsman's hand in midair. The big Navi looked down, confused.
Well done, Rockman! Go for it!
Rockman nodded, then he flew into action. Pow, 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 pow! He pummeled Gutsman with a series of quick punches. Bam, 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 bam! Rockman followed up with his punishing kicks. Gutsman tried to block the blows, but he was too big and slow. Groaning, Gutsman fell to the ground with a thud. He then slid backwards across the cyber field. Dekal looked shocked.
What's wrong, Gutsman? How could you be losing to someone so small?
Neto grinned and held up a battle chip.
Now it's my turn! Battle chip!
But before Neto could insert the battle chip, Rold appeared on the cyber field.
Help! It's Mail-chan! Mail-chan!
Chapter 7. Consider him scorched.
What's happened to Mail-chan?
Look at this!
She traced a square with her finger, and a cyber screen appeared in front of her. The feed showed the inside of Mail's kitchen. Flames flew out of the oven and microwave. Smoke filled the room. Mail was down on the floor, coughing and choking.
Rockman, quickly get to her house via the net! Alright, Roll-chan, link me please.
Then he and Roll vanished from the screen.
You go too, Gutsman!
Gutsman nodded and then vanished. Neto turned to Dekal. Rockman and Roll quickly reached the computer system inside Mail's microwave oven. Hot cyber flames were tearing through the system. Then Rockman saw the tiny fire viruses spreading the flames everywhere.
What an inferno!
He transformed his right arm into his rockbuster. Zap, zap, zap! He blasted the viruses. The flames began to die down.
There wasn't many viruses this time, huh?
But their fight was not over. Hino-ken watched the cyberlink on his screen.
Him again.
That meddling NetNavi was back. Well, he would take care of that. He turned to his pet.
Fireman, go ahead and delete that Navi.
On the screen, Fireman nodded. The NetNavi had a red metal body and a silver head. If you could call it a head. Flames leaped from a nozzle on top, and the only features on his face were a pair of white glowing eyes. His arms ended in 2 round burners.
Roger.
Fireman linked to the cyber field in Mail's kitchen. He appeared in front of Rockman and Roll. Before they could react, Fireman shot a blazing ball of flame right at them. Rockman and Roll quickly jumped out of the way in the nick of time.
Who are you?
Chapter 8. It's Mega Time. Fireman walked through the flames.
The name's Fireman. You can't run away forever.
A raging stream of flames burst from Fireman's arm. He shot the flames all over the cyber field. Back in the real world, Neto raced through Mail's front door. He found Mail on the kitchen floor and picked her up. She weakly opened her eyes.
Mail-chan, hang in there! Mail-chan!
He helped Mail walk outside. Dekal was waiting there. She fell into his arms, coughing. In the distance, Neto could hear the sound of fire engines approaching. He quickly checked his pet. A strange-looking NetNavi was blasting Rockman with fireballs. Rockman blocked the blast with a protective shield, but Neto could see that the shield was weakening. Rockman couldn't defeat Fireman without help.
Damn, I need to give Rockman a battle chip or else!
But there was only one way to do that. He had to plug into Mail's oven. It was dangerous. Neto knew, but it might be the only way to stop Fireman for good.
Dekal, take care of Mail-chan!
Then he ran back into the burning house.
Neto!
Neto covered his mouth with a cloth and stayed low to the floor. He just had to get to the oven. In the cyberworld, Rockman's protective shield ran out. Fireman attacked him with his firearms. The massive fiery blast sent Rockman sliding back across the cyber field. Fireman chuckled, then he stomped across the field, ready to finish off Rockman. But Gutsman appeared just in time. He blocked Fireman's path. Then he charged at Fireman.
No! Don't, Gutsman!
But it was too late. Gutsman had no idea how powerful Fireman was. Fireman sent a wall of flames blasting through his arms. The flames knocked Gutsman flat on his back. Dekal's pet screen began to flash.
Gutsman!
But the big Navi disappeared from the screen. Neto reached Mail's oven at the same time. He plugged his pet into the port.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Rockman!
Rockman jumped back to his feet.
Neto-kun!
Chapter 9. Fireman logging out.
Let's go! Battle chip! Shotgun! Slot in!
Neto inserted the battle chip into his pet. Rockman's right arm immediately began to glow. Bam, bam, bam! Rockman quickly pounded Fireman with laser blasts. They were much more powerful than his normal blasts. The attack sent Fireman reeling backward. Before Fireman could react, Neto inserted a new battle chip.
Battle chip! Sword! Slot in! Rockman's right arm transformed into a glowing sword. He pounced on Fireman. Then, in one swift move, he sliced off Fireman's right arm. Hinoken watched the battle from his own pet. Fireman was hurt. He had to get out of there before he got deleted.
Plug out, Fireman!
The image of Fireman faded from the screen. The angry flames disappeared with him. Will jumped up and cheered.
Rockman!
Chapter 10. Thank you, Rockman. Neto stumbled out of Mail's still smoky house. An ambulance was pulling away, and Mail was nowhere in sight.
Thank goodness Mail-chan is alright. Rockman, you really are a great navvy.
Rockman smiled.
Yeah, it was all thanks to your operation. Thank you, Neto-kun. Will you lend me your power from now on?
Of course.
Oh, by the way, can you do today's homework for me? Homework? No, you can do that yourself. Didn't you say you'd lend me your power? This and that are different. What? You're stingy!
Rockman just chuckled.
No means no!
Neto smiled back. He would never reprogram Rockman. He was the best NetNavi ever. Besides, Neto was still curious about the evil NetNavi who had started those fires. He had a funny feeling that the trouble wasn't over. But that was okay. If more trouble started, Neto knew just what to say.
Plug in! Rockman! Transmission!